What started off as a small protest by relatives of two men who died in custody has grown much larger in recent days and reignited a debate about police brutality in India. Jayraj and his son Benix were arrested last week, accused of keeping their shop open during a lockdown to stop the spread of the coronavirus. They spent the night in jail and died days later, within hours of each other. Relatives of the men say they were tortured. An investigation is underway.
In
Thuthukudi district in Sathankulam, a mobile shop was run by Jayraj and his son Benix. There was an issue between them and the police regarding the closure of the shop, and the police filed a report. They were held in custody in Kovilpatti jail. Both were later admitted in Kovilpatti hospital and died.
2 police officers have been suspended. Many on social media are comparing this case to the death of George Floyd in the United States. Latest figures from the National Human Rights Commission show that 9 people on average die in custody every day in India, and a further 15 report violence and torture. Leaders in Tamil Nadu state say they'll transfer the case to the Central Bureau of Investigation, but that's unlikely to stop demands from the victim's family and hundreds of thousands of others for justice and accountability. Victoria Gatenby, Al Jazeera.
Well, let's speak more about this story with Dibyesh Anand. He's a professor of international relations at the University of Westminster, and he joins us now on Skype from London. Professor, I'd like to start where Victoria left off there. This case has triggered outrage, but this isn't a new issue. So what's caused such a reaction this time?
Again, thanks for having me here. What caused an intense reaction? A few things. One, the details of the murder of the two people, like father and son. And the details include graphic description of the ways in which they were tortured, they were sexually assaulted, they were murdered. And what we find, of course, is failure on part of not only the police, because police is the perpetrator of violence here, but also failure on part of judiciary and hospital. In this case, the magistrate apparently did not even speak to the 2 people, and they believed in the police testimony. So what basically you're seeing is the failure of justice. So the reason for the mass mobilization now, of course, is that partly the graphic details that are coming out, and secondly, the whole idea of lockdown, because what the shopkeepers and others have been saying is that the police have been quite brutal in the way in which lockdown has been imposed. And a normal time where police has to take a person to the court, right, for remand to be extended, in these times, basically that's not happening. So basically what's happening is that the state is turning into a police state, and these are the reasons why there has been mass mobilization.
Well, speaking of a police state, I see some rights monitors in the country put the number of deaths in police custody last year at more than 1,700. That's a huge number. But it's not just the deaths, it's also the manner of death, as you were saying. I see a large proportion of all of these incidents involved allegations of torture. So what's driving such behavior here?
Yeah, so again, this is when people talk of George Floyd and the protest, of course, there are similarities. Similarities in terms of the behavior of the cops and the ways in which police think that they can get away with it, right? There's an impunity. What affects the behavior of police in case of India, in this case of Tamil Nadu, is the nature of policing. The nature of policing is following on from the colonial policing that the British imposed, right? We have a combination of a colonial mentality where the cops think that they're above law. And second, you have got caste politics where certain caste groups were dominant caste in India. They think that they will not be again challenged within the court. And third, in recent times, what we have, of course, is rise of assertive nationalism, where the state works very closely with the cops, and cops will help the state and the politicians against the people. So there are different reasons why this is happening. But what, again, we have to bear in mind is the graphic details that are coming out will shock anyone, and that includes rape, essentially, of 2 men using a baton. And the police, and even now, by the way, police have been suspended, but there's no case against that. And this is a difference from US. In case of US, at least there's some mobilization to charge the cops. In case of India, and as you pointed out, rights group have said that if more than 1,700 die in custody, barely 4 to 5 cops are ever investigated and prosecuted for human rights abuses. That's a low number of numbers.
Well, you say these officers haven't been charged, only transferred, I believe, to a different part of the country. And that's a bit of a trend that we've seen in other cases like this before. So who is it exactly that needs to be holding these police officers to account? Is it state? Is it local? Is it federal? Who needs to take responsibility here?
The policing in India, because of federal structure, policing is responsible both the state and the center, right? It's largely the state. So in this case, Tamil Nadu. But it's a common pattern in India of course, in places like Jammu and Kashmir, which are occupied, it's very blatant, the colonial nature, but in other places also. And let's bear this in mind, that we have in India right now a Prime Minister who was accused of presiding over a mass murder of Muslims in 2002 in Gujarat. At that point in time, a couple of cops who actually exposed his role are in prison, right? Because they were seen as sort of going against the service rules. But cops who are accused of human rights abuses, so long as they work closely with the politicians, they are hardly touched. So what's likely to happen is, in this case, once the hue and cry goes down, these cops who have been transferred will be transferred back somewhere else. So what the government will do is they'll try to compensate people, the victims, but also wait for this hue and cry to go down. And this is why the attention in the media and social media are important, because only through that we have reached this stage, at least where they are suspended. If there were no attention, they would not have done anything about it.
Dibyesh Anand there, a professor of international relations at the University of Westminster. It is a case that we will continue watching very closely indeed here on Al Jazeera. Thank you, sir, for your thoughts.
Thank you.